I want to ask you guys a question. And I want you guys to give me some honest answers in the comment section. How many of you have ever felt envious towards your friends? Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Yetunde. Hope you guys are doing well. I hope my husband's IG live is not entering this video. Otherwise, I'm sorry guys. I'm someone that has just woken up from a Sunday nap. Not just woken up, but I had a Sunday nap today and I feel so refreshed. Please, tell me, why do Sunday naps feel so good? Why do they feel so good? Especially with how cold it is outside right now. This is great. Hey Will, hey Will. I want to ask you guys a question. And I want you guys to give me some honest answers in the comment section. How many of you have ever felt envious towards your friends? Tell me. This is a judgment-free zone. There is no judgment. So if you share your own story, there's no judgment. We've all felt envious at one point. I am one. I have felt envious at points, maybe of friendships with other friends. I felt envious in different aspects, in different ways. But I remember one time though, when there was a friend I was very close with, and we stopped speaking. And before we stopped speaking, one of the things that she had kind of essentially accused me of was like being envious of her and the new things that were happening in her life. But I can categorically say I actually wasn't. I was going through a lot at that time as well, and I was really trying to get my life together. So I probably wasn't maybe as present. Like I was present, like I was there physically for her. My mind was probably in other places because I had so much going on. And that was probably part of the breakdown of our friendship, because I was so hurt by the fact that she felt like I was um, envious of her or envious of her life or whatever and everything. And it just was not that wasn't the case at that time. But even since then, I have found myself being envious. It's been one of those things that I feel like it it's one of the hardest things to admit about yourself, is to say that, oh, I was envious or I was jealous about someone, especially someone that you know. Is so I feel like it's so hard to admit that. And the first time I admitted it to God, my goodness, I admit it was my prayer time, and I just admitted out loud what I was feeling envious about. And when they say, like, with alcoholics, right? People that are Narcotics Anonymous, that kind of thing. And Alcoholics Anonymous, their 12-step program, by the way, is a fun fact. It comes from the Bible. But anyway, one of the first things alcoholics are supposed to do is admit that they're alcoholics, right? And I think with anything negative in our lives, one of the first things we say is, God forbid, as Africans. Yeah, God forbid. How can you say that? God forbid. But the thing is, if we don't admit it, then how do we overcome it? So with envy, how I overcame it was admitting that, first of all, I was envious. And and what I was envious about, what it was causing me to do, whether it was disliking somebody or coveting something, I had to admit that this was what I was feeling. And the thing about envy, it can come in different forms, it can come in different ways, like such as, if you see something on social media, and one of the things that we may use to make ourselves feel better is like, oh, like you see someone's lifestyle on social media and they're living lavishly, they're living like a lavish lifestyle, and you're like, anyway, it's probably fake. Most things on social media are fake anyway, which it could be true. But what if it wasn't fake? Why do we use things like, oh, it's probably fake, to make ourselves feel better? That's envy. Just in case you didn't know, that is envy. That's the spirit of envy. And I have really learned that The spirit of envy is something that can really consume you. As quickly as the seed of envy is sown, it can take over your mind, your thoughts, your actions, just like that. And that's why it's important to admit and be reflective if you start to feel these particular things. When I have found myself in prayer with God and just telling him that, Lord, I just felt jealous. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've been jealous about maybe these two friends were hanging out without me. I didn't feel nice. It didn't feel good. And God, let me tell you, God is so good. He will, he will listen. He will listen. And then it's like, as I have released it to him, I start to feel better. And then it's like, it starts to show me how absurd it is for me to feel envious of this person. And do you know how he shows me? He tells me, like, but what about you? Like, look at all the things that I have given you. Look at your life. Look at your gifts. Look at the things that you possess, and you have so much more is to come, and you haven't even scratched the surface. Or more, that alone is enough to blow my mind. Like, I feel like envy is such a waste of time, and it's such a thief of joy, and it's such a lack of faith. It's like it's telling you that whatever God's planned for you is not going to be enough, because this is what you feel like it should be. This thing that this person has, or this thing that this person is doing, you should have it. So therefore, envy has then erased all the great things that God has planned. Like, it's erased it from your mind, and it has erased the excitement of that from your mind, because you're so focused, and you're so focused on this person's thing. It's a distraction, and these are tools that the enemy uses to take us off course and make us look at things that, number one, we shouldn't be looking at, or looking at it from a perspective that is so negative that it consumes us, and it doesn't allow us to really enjoy life. So I ask you again, have you ever been envious of a friend? And I ask you that because I want to know, what did you do in order to overcome that? And how did you realize that you were envious of this friend? I've shared before of a friend that I was envious of her because she was very talented at many things and all the boys liked her. I have a video that I shared earlier, like last week in one of my videos. And I remember that was a new feeling to me. And I wasn't a Christian at that time, but it made me feel terrible. Like it just consumed me. And when I now learned that feeling later again in another situation, and I was able to marry the two and be like, oh, okay, so this is envy. And guys, it's just so crazy how envy can warp your sense of direction and just warp your sense of reality, because that thing, you know, it makes things just seem so much worse than it is, or so much bigger than it is, and then before you know it, you have lost sense of reality. You have just lost sense of reality. So again, I say all of this to say that envy should be dealt with as soon as it's as soon as it comes, because if it isn't, if it's left to fester, it's such a dangerous and despicable tool enemy uses to its advantage, where it's that it will just take us off course, make us lose make us lose our sense of purpose and steal our joy. So if you're even in that position now, you're feeling envious about whatever it is, just give it to God. Give it to God. He is the best therapist. Although I do prescribe to therapy as well. I think it's a good thing. Christian therapists are very real and very active, and yeah, I think that is important. If necessary, seek out a therapist. But yes, God is the best therapist of them all. Um, he is the best, very best. And I've also learned as well that the more I spend time with God, He's then sharing things the plans that He has for my life to me. So therefore, I'm too busy being consumed by God and what He wants me to do and how He wants me to do it, and being excited by the plans that He has for me, that when I see someone else doing great, I can only pray that God will continue to bless them and be joyful, because I know that God's doing my own. You know, I'm not worried. I'm not even looking at another person, because I know that God is doing the best for me. So yeah, let me not bang on. It's Sunday. I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.